what you uncovered and what your theories and conclusions might be.
Well, I've gone over, George, it's great to be here, first of all. And
Thank you.
I've gone over several of Roger's objects that he's removed previously, like you said, plus I've analyzed extensively the last two objects from surgeries number 15 and 16. And we found some very startling things. We found nerve cells connected to the devices, as Roger's found in the past, and we found that the objects have a coating on them similar to a biological hard part like shell or bone, and that might be partly responsible for the lack of an immune response that we see to these objects in the body. Mm-hmm. These objects produce no immune response whatsoever, and that's extremely unusual. And
so you mean the body normally, when an object's in there like a sliver or something, the body attacks it, tries to get rid of it, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And in this case, it's not. It just kind of like welcomes it.
No, and it does not try to get rid of the object at all.
At all, yeah.
These apparently are devices that are designed to not produce any sort of an immune response. And,
are you picking up, Steve, from these objects any kind of signals or any kind of field or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Like Roger said, we picked up radio signals from the devices, both the John Smith object from surgery number 15 and the Ron Noel object from surgery number 16 were giving off radio signals before removal. They were giving off different radio signals. Two of them from the John Smith implant turned out to be satellite and aeronautical communication frequencies. And both these objects also had strong magnetic fields of over 10 milligauss.
How were the objects detected?
How many objects have we detected?
Well, how do you find them?
You can pick them up on X-ray, or with a stud finder also works, a small metal detector, and a Gauss meter can also pick them up because they almost always have magnetic fields.
Do the objects look organic, or are they all artificial? What the heck are they?
Well, they seem to be a combination of both. The main bodies of the devices are metallic. They're mostly composed of iron, at least in all the objects that I've analyzed so far. The John Smith object was definitely meteoric iron. The trace element pattern matched exactly that of a class of nickel iron meteorites called hexahedrites. But the material was apparently not from our solar system because, like Bob pointed out, the isotopic ratios were quite skewed compared to what is found on Earth or in our solar neighborhood.
Could we duplicate this implant today, Steve, if we gave it to a scientist?
I would have to say no to that. I think that even the Black Project military community would have either could not duplicate it or would have major problems even attempting to duplicate something like this. They are sophisticated nanotechnological devices with carbon nanotube electronics built right in, and they have a sophisticated organic coating, which is similar to a biological hard part, and do not produce any immune response to the body. And apparently nerve cells grow into the devices after they're implanted, and that's something that's beyond our technology as well.
Explain, if you would, for Steve, the carbon nanotubes, what exactly they are.
Well, carbon nanotubes are very tiny cylinders of carbon. They're similar to graphite. If you took a plane of graphite, a two-dimensional sheet of carbon atoms that's arranged in a hexagonal pattern like chicken wire, and you rolled it up into a tube, you'd have a carbon nanotube. There's various types of carbon nanotubes: single wall, double wall, multi-wall. You have nested tubes in the double wall and multi-wall, and these seem to be the single wall variety.
Are we using nanotubes now in any kind of application?
Yes, we are. The research is mostly in its infancy, but we've been trying to make ultra-strong metal matrix composites using carbon nanotubes. They're the world's strongest known material, plus they have very unique electronic and conductive properties.
How advanced would these nanotubes be that have been discovered in these folks compared to what we've got on this planet today?
Extremely advanced. These seem to be finished devices that are at least 100 years ahead of anything we can do at this point.
Minimum, I would guess.
Minimum, yes. That's being conservative.
Roger, when you looked at these objects, and you've been doing this for years, are you seeing a change, a technological change with these objects?
I would have to say no. I think the one thing that has changed is our abilities as we gain more knowledge and the sophistication of the equipment for which we were able to use to look at the objects. Now, why would anyone want to look at the carbon nanotubes 10 years ago when they said they couldn't exist? You know, and did we have anything? Did we have electron microscopes that would give us the necessary information, 10, 20 years ago? So as the devices advance, as our knowledge advances, you begin to look at things that you never looked at before. Now, there are other things in these devices that Steve hasn't mentioned yet. I want him to address the issue. We find that there are crystalline structures, and I think this is something for him to explain.
Yes,
What are they?
Go
ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, there were structures in the John Smith device in particular, such as orthorhombic crystals of sodium chloride. Sodium chloride usually has cubic crystals. These were elongated cubic crystals.
What's the significance of that, Steve?
Well, we're not sure, but they definitely were too regular to have been formed there when the blood serum evaporated, and they appear to have been part of the device. We hypothesized that they were there to generate certain scalar radio frequencies, similar to the old crystal radio sets.
Huh. How do you think these devices are put in a person?
Well, abductee reports indicate that the aliens have a device that has a long tube on it and a needle and a fiber optic going down the center, and that the device has a handle with a trigger, and the needle is inserted into the area of the body that they want to put the implant in, and a button is pushed, and the implant is then inserted through the needle into the body, and they're activated by ultraviolet light, according to many abductee reports.
Roger, when producer Tom Danheiser and I witnessed your surgical procedure to remove an implant out of the physical face cheek of a person, that thing moved. Every time the surgeon tried to grab it with his tweezers, the object moved. You finally got it out. But is that unusual, the movement of these things when you try to get it?
Now I would have to say no, because even in the 15th and 16th cases that we did, if you were looking at the X-ray scanning device, which we call a C-arm, and a metallic instrument is put into the wound, the object that you're trying to isolate or clamp moves, and surgical instruments are surgical steel, and they're not supposed to be interacting with any kind of a magnetic field. If so, it could be extremely dangerous in the case of, major surgery. So when you take a relatively inert stainless steel instrument and you insert it into a wound and it gets close to the object and the object moves out of the way, something other than what's usual is going on.
Steve, is it possible these objects are man-made?
I would have to say that it's maybe possible, but extremely unlikely because of the fact that the objects have very skewed isotopic ratios, and the material does not seem to come from our solar system. Plus the fact that it's highly doubtful that anybody on this planet has the technology to make such things. So it's a remote possibility, but I would say no.
Based on what you've analyzed, what do you think they are?
I think they're extremely sophisticated nanotechnological electronic devices that, like Bob said, are probably for the gathering and transmission of information. I think that they probably transmit sensory information, cite what the subject is seeing and hearing, and probably physiological information and the sounds in the room.